All right, second rumor video off the list. We have one one down, and this one is about the fire truck check. And this became an oddly large thing last year, apparently. So we're working on getting new fire trucks as the other ones are a couple of decades old, and Alan's been working on getting them replaced. There was an equipment millage passed in 2017 to that end for 10 years to work on upgrading all of this equipment. Though the one truck is going to be a heavy rescue. That's the one that's coming. It's getting close to being here in the next maybe next month, hopefully, and it's for carrying people and equipment. And I mean, we have the major crashes on M120, and the highway goes through the stretch, and Whitehall Road goes through the stretch, and there's a decent number of commercial buildings, and for those things you need that heavier equipment so you can get access quite quickly. And the Dalton Township Fire Department does really well at getting into cars and those types of things. So that's good. So we want to support that endeavor. It becomes important if you're in that situation. And so you end up with two major checks basically. One is for the chassis of the truck, and the other one is for the build of the truck, and it ends up being a lot of money, obviously. The chassis itself was $186,000, and that was what this controversy ended up being over. And that had been passed through the board as part of the budget while Gerald was the treasurer. And then he had left, and Kelly was in that role when it came time to give that check, to send that check out to Alexis. And she had not been with the township when that had been approved through the budget, even though it had been approved. And the clerk and the treasurer are supposed to sign the checks that go out. And it's a pretty decent process where it checks itself. And so Kelly was hesitant about it, and I talked to her about it, and I said basically it's a large check that's kind of scary to sign, right? And she was like, yes. So that was basically it. I said if I could take that burden off you by signing it, I would, just so you wouldn't feel so bad. But that's not how the process works. It goes through the clerk and treasurer's office. And the board is good with it, approved it in the budget. Everyone knew this check needs to go out, so no big deal. But she was still uncomfortable with signing it, so I said, all right, well, set it aside, and I'll put it on the agenda for the board to just approve you signing this one specific check. And then I had Alan, the fire chief, contact Alexis, the company that is making the fire truck, and tell them that there's just going to be a little delay. And that ended up being fine with them. They work with governments, for fire departments all the time. So I'm sure they're used to boards and votes and internal politics and infighting and things being hung up and delayed fairly often. And so I had them told that it's going to be delayed. I just need to bring it to the board for kind of this double approval, and that should work out fine. And then I told Kelly just to set it aside, and I'll bring it to the board, and we'll do it that way. So apparently, when the person from the bank came to pick up checks to go out or for the mail, it was not set aside. It was just in with everything else that was outgoing to be paid, and so it ended up leaving. And it didn't have the treasurer's signature on it; it just had the clerk. But it's an internal control by state law for getting the signatures to go through. So it went through. The bank is authorized by Dalton Township. And then the story became that I had done something, whatever I'd done, sneak the check away. I don't know what the theory is, if there were gremlins involved or what. But the reality of the situation is that we'd set it up to make Kelly comfortable, and I told her to set it aside, and we cleared with the company that their check was going to be delayed, and I was just waiting till the next regular board meeting. I didn't think it needed a special meeting, and I think even at that next board meeting, or maybe a couple later, it would have been brought up, and it would just confirm verbally that that's what the board was expecting, but obviously at that point not as an agenda item, since the check had already been sent out and gone through. And so that's what actually happened with that. I didn't think it would be too big of a deal, because the board had authorized it. Just like this year, it's even a larger amount. It's over $300,000 for the rest of the build of the fire truck, and that had been authorized in the budget. So it's good to go through. But there had been some confusion about that, and rumors spread. And I think it's one of those things, like a lot of these things, is they start getting spread, and there's nowhere for most people to go to directly check, to directly access information to confirm or to deny these stories. And so the rumor just kind of keeps circulating in this weird way. And the government is just horrible. I haven't even been able to just straighten out operations here, or even just stop weird infighting and little power plays and things like that. And politics just has this horrible tendency to corrupt things and to corrupt people. And so I get that it's difficult to stay on track. And so I think because of all that, it's very easy when anyone makes the accusation. We very much live in the society where you're not really innocent until proven guilty. It's more, the society's become, very unfortunately, more of if you're accused, you're guilty. Until possibly proven innocent at some point. So there's like this first mover aggressor advantage for accusing things. And then when you hear some sort of rumor that the government's doing something sketchy, I mean, I think you'd be right more often if you believe all of them than you would be wrong. And so it seems fairly reasonable, that if people are spreading rumors that I don't know exactly what the concern would be. I don't know if people are trying to spread a rumor that I'm getting a kickback, so I really wanted this chassis bought, or what exactly it is, or if it was just an improper process, which it didn't. The check should have been put aside. That was the plan. But it just circulates, and I think these things they end up circulating maybe for forever, basically for years and decades. And so hopefully by addressing some of these directly, that can be done. If anyone has other rumors they're hearing, obviously I have a list of just various stuff I've heard circulating that I want to address, but there's always going to be more. I mean, there's an endless supply. But if you want a rumor addressed, feel free to reach out. My direct line at the office is area code 231-332-6700, or email supervisor@daltontownship.org. Either way, feel free to let me know. And I mean, it's not like I know everything, but if I do know the story or the real story, or I can find information on something, then I can address those things in this way. Thanks, and until next time.